Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. So today we will be covering on our Geoguessr tips videos. We will be covering some really obscure islands and territories that you may not think have Google Street View. Now these specific islands have very weird cars, Google cars, and also some specific bits of knowledge that will definitely help you get those really big points, because obviously if you don't guess the specific island you're going to lose a lot of points on Geoguessr, and hopefully this will help you in Geoguessr. Okay, so the first ones that I'm going to group together are the US territories of Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, Guam, and the North Mariana Islands. Okay, so today we are starting on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Now this is a US territory and maybe soon a US state, who knows, and there are a few kind of signs that may help you guess in Puerto Rico. So the first one is going to be this beautiful long antenna. From this angle you might not be able to even see it. It's very thin, very small. For some reason Puerto Rico has this antenna on the front. Another thing to mention about Puerto Rico is these kind of road markers. You see these a lot on main highways, motorways, that kind of thing, and these are kilometer road markers, and they're usually green and this kind of long rectangular shape. Another thing about Puerto Rico is that it has no front plates, so you don't see any license plates on the front of the car. And lastly, Puerto Rico speaks Spanish, which is another thing, so you have a lot of Spanish influence there. In terms of landscape, Puerto Rico reminds me a lot of places like in Central America, so Guatemala. You get this kind of very tropical feel to it. If the cars look very American, you've got no front plates, you've got the antenna, you've got the Spanish influence, then you're probably most likely in Puerto Rico. So the next one I'm going to show you is the US Virgin Islands. So this isn't too far away from Puerto Rico. As you can see, the general landscape is again very tropical. It's a little bit flatter than Puerto Rico. A massive sign to tell you it's the US Virgin Islands is the Google car. So we do have this long antenna again on the front, but you can see a lot more of the car this time. So it's a kind of red pickup truck, and you've got some bars on the back, which you're probably used to seeing. We have this black back on it. They speak English in this part of the world, so they don't speak Spanish compared to Puerto Rico. The general landscape is less mountainous than Puerto Rico, but you definitely have those tropical influences that we saw previously. Another thing to mention is that the US Virgin Islands actually has two parts to it. So it has a northern island and a southern island. The southern island has a lot more coverage than the northern island. The big difference is the colour of the Google car. So the northern island has a white car and the southern island has a red car, but you're more likely to get coverage on the southern island, as I just said. So the next ones I'm going to cover are Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands. So these islands are quite hard to spot if you're looking for them in the North Pacific. I always try and find the Philippines and then look right. You will definitely find Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands. So we are currently situated in Guam. So this island does have little bits of coverage. This is near the airport. You can probably guess a feature that you may have seen earlier in Puerto Rico, and it's this massive antenna. So the massive antenna features in Guam and also the North Mariana Islands. I'll show you that in just a second. Some other details that will maybe head you towards Guam compared to Puerto Rico is the fact that Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands are generally flatter, so you don't get as many hills as you would see in Puerto Rico. Another thing is the road lines. So the road lines are all white, whereas in Puerto Rico they have a yellow strip on the left-hand side close to the middle of the road, which is similar to what you would see in America. Another thing about Guam is that they have license plates on the front, so that's another thing. Also, Guam speak English, which is different to Puerto Rico as well. Okay, so I've headed down into the North Mariana Islands this time, and as you can see, just generally, it's A little bit less urbanized, I would say, than Guam and Puerto Rico. You have the antenna that we saw earlier in Puerto Rico and Guam. The Northern Mariana Islands also have license plates on the front. In terms of guessing here though, as you can see, the Northern Islands is where most of the coverage is, so you're most likely to be placed on this island rather than any of the southern islands there. So next up we've got American Samoa. Okay, so this is a beautiful part of the world. I love being placed here on Geoguessr. It's so tropical, so beautiful. There are a few tips for guessing here in American Samoa. Again, it mostly falls down to the Google car. Kind of got this metal back to it compared to the other ones that we just saw. It generally is a black car, and we've got this antenna once again. The landscape is very mountainous. You have front plates on this island as well. This island is in a very volcanic part of the world, so you have a lot of darker soil here compared to the sandier soil that we saw in Guam and Northern Mariana Islands. This is the other part of American Samoa which is covered on Geoguessr. This is the island called, I think it's Manua, and again you've got these tree covered mountains here, and also you've got a lot of palm trees here too. All of these parts of American Samoa are covered in Geoguessr on Google Street View. So this main road, the road here on this island, and obviously you're going to get probably most of your coverage on the main island of American Samoa here. Okay, so our next one is the Pitcairn Islands. So in the Pitcairn Islands, the only island that is covered is where Adamstown is located. General coverage that you get here is these kind of dirt tracks that you get on the island. They're very, very muddy tracks. There isn't a specific car for the Pitcairn Islands. It's mostly just a guy that's kind of walking around with an official Google camera. Just kind of got to go off landscape and the general feel of the place. Again, so we've travelled to a different part of the island. As you can see, we've got the darkish soil again, very dark brown soil. Not as kind of tropical feeling as American Samoa. So in terms of guessing in the Pitcairn Islands, it's a little bit confusing actually. So the Pitcairn Islands is kind of split in two. So you have this main island where the Pitcairn Islands says where it is, but you also have this place called Adamstown. Now most of the coverage that you see on Geoguessr is actually on this island here. You only have a very, very small amount of coverage on the actual main island where it says Pitcairn Islands, and this is the only coverage that you get on this island. So it's literally a beach view, and it's this guy walking around again, and you're just on the beach really. There's not really any other coverage here. That's the coverage for Henderson Island. If you are thinking this could be in the Pitcairn Islands, then you're most likely on the place called Adamstown, which I just showed you. Another location I have to mention is Midway Atoll. In terms of finding this very, very small island, all you have to do is find Hawaii and then look slightly further to the northwest and you'll find this very, very small island. And for some reason, it has very weird Google coverage. So as you can see, a lot of the island is covered, and you're probably wondering, Fliss, why are you showing me this? Well, this has become known as the Bird Poo Island. So for some reason, this island has become a little home to a lot of these little birds. Now, I don't know what kind of bird they are. They're very cute and fluffy. For some reason, there are all these birds on this island. As you can see, there are absolutely thousands of them. These little birds just wanted to say hi on the YouTube video really. So say hi back, say hello to the birds. Okay, so the next location, I'm not going to tell you where it is because it's probably one of my favourite locations on Geoguessr. This trekker coverage leads us to a very, very cool location. So you're probably thinking, Fliss, why have you taken me to Mars? Well, no, I haven't. I haven't taken you to Mars. One minute we're in the jungle, the next minute we are in Mars. Well, this isn't actually Mars, guys. So you're probably thinking, Fliss, wow, you know, what are you going to show me next? Well, I'm going to show you a volcano. So the coverage actually goes all the way down to the volcano, and you can actually see inside the crater. So as you can see, we're actually inside the crater looking at boiling hot lava. which reminds me a little bit of Shrek. You know, in the first film when they're above the bridge and the lava and all that. Anyway, I think this is some of the coolest coverage in Geoguessr, and I'm sad it doesn't come up often enough, to be honest. You probably don't need to know this, but it's kind of cool. So you'll find the Ambrim Island here, so Vanuatu, or the main island, is up here. It doesn't really have any coverage, but this is the island you're looking for, and then the volcano is basically directly in the middle. It's official Google Street View, so it might come up on Geoguessr, and it's pretty cool to know. So the next one I'm going to show you, we're moving away from the Pacific into the Indian Ocean now, and this is the lovely island, Christmas Island. So this is Christmas Island here. It is actually owned by Australia, so there are a few differences to, let's say, the American islands that we saw earlier. We are actually driving on the left here, so that's a big clue. The other thing is that we also have Australian bollards. You may know Australian bollards maybe if you play Geoguessr a little bit, but these are Australian bollards. The main difference here is the car. So this is the car, the Google car that you'll see in Christmas Island. So it has this kind of metal pickup truck. You can't see the front of the truck, just only the back. In general, in terms of its landscape, I would say it's definitely a lot less tropical than what we're used to, or what we've been used to in this video. You have white road lines rather than yellow road lines, which you might be used to in some of the American territories that we saw. In terms of finding Christmas Island, just find Indonesia and find Jakarta and look south and you'll find it fairly easily there. Okay, so the last one I'm going to mention is the Cocos in brackets Keeling Islands. These are also in the Indian Ocean. It has a very specific Google card too. It is white and it has this kind of blue container on the back. I don't think you can always see the blue container. It's just particular in this part of the coverage. But we also have this thing on the front. I think of it as a coffee cup. I don't know why. That might help you distinguish it. I don't know. Tell me what it is. I honestly don't know, but I'm going to call it a coffee cup for now. It's very similar to the Christmas Islands. You've got slightly lighter soil here, palm trees, it's very flat. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Northern Mariana Islands in that sense. It's a lot less urbanized. You don't have as many houses around. So this is the urban areas of the Cocos Islands. The houses are very, very distinctive. You've got these kind of metal roofs, bungalows. Yeah, as I said, it's very beachy. It's got a very sandy feel to the soil, very white. You don't always see the Google car as well. That's another thing to mention. But hopefully the other kind of landscape and features will help you maybe distinguish it away from certain other islands that you might see. In terms of coverage here, the home island's up here, and then you've got some coverage down here near the airport. In terms of finding these islands, if you found Christmas Island earlier, just look a little bit further west. So in terms of some obscure countries or territories or locations on Geoguessr, I've pretty much covered them all there. As you might expect, most of them are in the Pacific. You had a couple in the Indian Ocean and a couple in the Caribbean. So hopefully that helps you a little bit in terms of the what we would call meta locations. So in terms of the ones with weird Google cars and weird coverage. Please do let me know if it helped you in the comments down below. Again, if you'd like to see any more of these tip videos, let me know what you want to see. I will go off what you want to see. So I've obviously done my Russia video. Hopefully that helped. I hope you have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all on a stream or in the next YouTube video. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.